3 days before the wedding, I brushed my hand against a hidden panel in Chase's study. What I saw inside is seared into my memory. A room no bigger than a few dozen square feet was crammed, neatly, obsessively, with another woman's photos and belongings. Thousands of items, each tagged and catalogued with devotional care. Aged 8, Sophie braided me my first ring. Inside a velvet box worth millions sat a dried grass promise ring, brittle with age. Aged 18, Sophie's first gala gown. The decade-old dress bore the fresh scent of starch, recently pressed. Tens of thousands of relics, every one labeled, every one treasured. On the central table lay a yellowed envelope. Inside, a single line. Aged 23, Sophie married, my heart died with her. I traced the still damp tear stain and my knees buckled. The man I'd loved 8 years was nothing but a living corpse. Fine, then I would give them their happy ending. Before we go on, please subscribe and tell us where you're listening from. I stumbled out of the study and called Dad. Dad, I'll go through with grandfather's strategic alliance. Surprise turned to joy on the other end. Good, good. That Guyer boy's too cold, you'd never be happy. Look at Logan, he's warm, real, alive. He hung up mid-lecture. I stared at the open hidden panel, bitterness flooding me. In 8 years Ellis had never let me spend a night here. My toothbrush, slippers, towel, everything disposable, set out for a guest. After every brief intimacy, those items and I vanished together. At first I cried, raged. All I got was his chilled reassurance. Skylar, I have germ phobia. As long as you're in my heart, why torture us both? I invented excuses, maybe discretion, maybe marriage would fix it. I even blamed my body, my allure. His life was sterile, the fault had to be mine. Never once did I consider that the mistress of the house already existed. There was simply no room left for anyone else. Now I understood why he insisted on keeping our marital home in this old house. He meant to spend his life here with her while married to me. Thinking of that still wet tear on the letter and how Ellis had stayed in the study all last night, my stomach lurched. I ran to the bathroom and retched. My phone rang. Ellis sounded buoyant, almost breezy. Skylar, I can't make the gown fitting. My childhood friend Sophie is back, and there's a welcome party. In 8 years I had never heard that name from his lips. My mind detonated. When I didn't answer, he lost patience. Skylar, take me with you. The words escaped before I could stop them. He hesitated. You hate those events. I exhaled slowly. Ellis, send me the location. Long silence, he clearly didn't want me there. Then a gentle female voice drifted over the line. Chase, don't be like that. Let her come, the more the merrier. The call cut off. 2 seconds later a pin dropped. Come, but don't make a scene. I glanced at the map, the Guyer Love Nest estate, the place I'd begged to visit for 8 years and been denied. It was where his parents met. 20 years ago his father bought the land and built the estate as a gift to his mother, never opened to outsiders. Its reputation for romantic devotion was legend. Everyone assumed the next event there would be Ellis's wedding. They overestimated me. A single casual mention and Ellis had exploded. Keep your hands off their love. Know your place. Yet a simple welcome back for her merited a banquet there. My knuckles whitened around the phone. She had called him Chase, not Ellis. Needles pierced my heart as I realized. In every rare intimate moment he'd made me call him Chase, eyes closed. I thought it was preference. Afterward, the same name earned only his icy stare. Half an hour later Ellis's car idled in the drive. Even through the cracked window I heard his bright laughter. 8 years and I'd never heard it beside me. I approached. The passenger seat was taken. A soft voice greeted me. Skylar? Sorry for stealing your spot, take it, I'll move. The door opened, but Ellis clamped her hand. Sophie, stay. He turned to me, eyes frosting over. Back seat. Then he smiled at her and eased the car into gear. An invisible fist clenched my heart. I swallowed and opened the rear door. A ball of fur launched at me, hissing. Sorry, Skylar, she's timid but harmless, Ellis said, producing a freeze-dried treat. Daddy's got a snack, Nina, don't be scared. The kitten nuzzled his fingers and ate, calming at once. Lightning struck my brain. Ellis was allergic. Once swore he loathed cats and their arrogance. Yet he doted on this one, gaze softer than any he'd ever aimed at me. Her name was Nina. My 8-year devotion felt like a punchline. The kitten, energized, began ricocheting around the back seat. It didn't take long before Ellis's car was clawed to shreds by Nina. Sophie, hearing the commotion from the back seat, patted Ellis on the shoulder. Chase, look, your little daughter's being naughty. Doesn't she remind you of yourself? Ellis angled his body slightly, then smiled with a tenderness that lit up his whole face. This was a custom order Ellis had placed overseas half a year ago, worth 7 figures. The day it arrived, my high heel had merely brushed the seat by accident, and Ellis had frowned. A grown woman who still doesn't know how to be careful. From now on, take your shoes off before you get in. I lowered my gaze to my now bare feet, then to the seat Nina had just shredded, and tears I could no longer hold back fell in heavy drops. So my place in his heart was far beneath the cat curled in her arms. My phone rang at the worst possible moment. Seeing Dad's number, I hesitated a long time before answering. Skylar, Logan's over the moon that you said yes. He insists on a wedding right away, so your father and Uncle York have set it for 3 days from now. How does that sound? Okay. Afraid Dad would sense something wrong, I answered quickly and hung up. Ellis, who'd been chatting with Sophie the whole time, glanced at me in the rearview mirror. What's set for 3 days? Sounded like your father. Wedding details, must have been someone else. You misheard. My words froze the laughter in the car to silence. Sophie's smile vanished, she turned to the window and said nothing. Ellis's eyes filled with heartache as he looked at her, then he slammed on the brakes. Twisting around, he erupted at me. Skylar, is our marriage something to brag about? Must you announce it everywhere we go? It's nothing but a meaningless business merger. The moment he finished, his voice switched to a velvet softness. He sighed, gaze on Sophie. Sophie. Slowly she turned to him, and in that look they traded a decade of longing and grievance. A few seconds later Sophie faced me. Skylar, I wish you happiness. As the words left her lips, tears shimmered in Ellis's eyes. What a pair of star-crossed lovers. Soon, very soon, I would return this half-alive man to her. I lifted my eyes to Sophie. Thank you. The instant I spoke, Ellis stomped on the brake again. I lurched forward and slammed my head into the seat in front. The world spun. His icy voice rang beside my ear. Skylar, no one would mistake you for a mute if you just kept quiet. After that, no one said another word. When we finally stopped, I realized the blow had opened a gash on my forehead. My heart had gone numb, I hadn't even felt the pain. Ellis busied himself helping Sophie and Nina out, never noticing the blood trailing from my hairline to the corner of my mouth. I'm going to the restroom, I'll find you in a minute. I walked off alone. Ellis didn't bother to lift his head, let alone answer. In the mirror I saw the cut, half a finger long, nearly an inch deep. Worried about infection, I slapped on a band-aid and let my hair fall to hide half my face. Probably because of that, Ellis, cozied up to Sophie in the booth, didn't spot me when I slipped into the private room. A friend beside them teased, Sophie, did you know Ellis stayed 8 years with that woman only because she could cook stuffed bell pepper classic exactly the way you do? The wine glass I'd just been handed shattered on the floor. 8 years. Every single time I showed up at Ellis's place he'd asked for that dish. Only while eating it would he grant me a scrap of gentleness in his eyes. I'd thought my cooking had tethered his heart. I'd never imagined. Every kindness he'd shown me in those 8 years had been borrowed from another woman. The crash of glass hushed the laughing crowd. The friend who'd spoken recognized me and shot up, pale, trying to explain. Sophie, don't take it seriously, just kidding among friends. He jabbed Ellis in the ribs. Ellis, Skylar's here, go see if she's hurt. Ellis's arm stayed locked around Sophie's waist. His face was flushed, he'd clearly drunk a lot. He raised his eyes, emptied his glass over my head, and snarled, Skylar. I told you, come if you want, but don't make trouble. You think my word is wind? Sneaking in here looking like some ghost, who are you trying to haunt? The alcohol soaked the band-aid, it slid off, and pain stabbed deep into the wound. The same friend noticed, tugged Ellis's sleeve. Ellis, she really is hurt. Quiet as she is, what did she do wrong? Cool down, go talk to her. The room fell deathly still. At last Sophie dabbed wine from Ellis's wrist and murmured, Chase, go check. Before she could finish, Ellis kicked the sideboard over, pointed at me with bloodshot eyes and roared, get out. Nina, startled, rubbed against his ankle. Feeling her tremble, he scooped her up, soothed her, and speed dialed. Send someone to escort the guest out. My feet felt cast in lead. I stumbled out, and as the door swung shut I saw Ellis toss back an allergy pill, then Sophie lean in and kiss him with a smile. Back home I bolted straight to the bathroom, scrubbing madly at the stench of the day, cat, car leather, club smoke, everything disgusted me. Sleep never came. Just after dawn Sophie posted a live photo, her fingers trailing down a man's bare back. 10 years, and I didn't lose you after all. 2,000 nights, and I had never touched Ellis like that. Whenever I tried, distance was all I got. At sunrise Ellis called, voice languid with satisfaction. "Skylar, I was drunk last night, don't mind me. With the wedding so close you'll have your hands full. Sophie isn't staying long, but I have to play the host." I smiled. "Of course. I'll make sure this wedding is one you'll never forget." Ellis sounded surprised, then chuckled. "Skylar, you're always so understanding, no wonder Mom and Dad adore you." Yes, now I see the only ones who ever loved me were his parents. 2 days before the wedding, I cancelled the reception, cancelled the officiant. According to the contract, the cancellation clause had also been sent to Ellis, but I knew the man whose heart was glued to Sophie wouldn't even notice. Sure enough, 2 whole days passed without a word from Ellis. On the wedding day I sat at the airport staring at a boarding pass for a flight leaving in 2 hours, and after a long hesitation I finally dialed Ellis. The phone rang a few times with no answer. The moment I hung up, Ellis, who never calls back, actually did. I could tell he was forcing down his irritation. "You're in a rush, but can you quit acting like it's life or death? After today all of Eastbrook will know you're Mrs. Geyer. Are a few minutes going to kill you?" The thing had only rung a couple of times. When I stayed silent his tone softened a notch. "Sophie's in a lousy mood today, I'll keep her company and then I'll come. Mom and Dad have landed and are heading to the venue, cover for me in a bit." He hung up right after. Oh, bad mood, so he can ditch the wedding I've waited 8 years for. I stared at my shoes and laughed out loud. Logan had texted me well over 100 times since early morning. I randomly picked one of the reception photos bearing both our names and sent it to Ellis. "Ellis, I'm giving up the seat of Mrs. Geyer. Be happy together." Then I blocked Ellis's number and left without looking back. All the way to Seaport I scrolled through 8 years of chat history between Ellis and me. His messages were pitifully few. Opening the album, every shot of him showed only the backside captured. 8 years, and we never had a single photo together. Countless times I nearly pulled Ellis out of the blacklist, but each time the urge had I pinched myself hard. More than 2,000 nights, loving him had seeped into my marrow, grown into my flesh like my own skin. Tearing it away hurts, of course it does, but a sharp pain now beats a lifetime of bitterness. Luckily, my deal with Logan is only a strategic alliance. That spares me some guilt toward the man who is at once familiar and strange. Logan is the youngest grandson of grandfather's sworn brother from the York family, raised from birth under a waterfall of love. Dad says the kid arrived as the brightest boy in all Seaport, spirited and mischievous from day one, with his own flair for business. Apart from his stubborn refusal to date, he has practically no flaws. Yet I've lost all trust in men. Back when Ellis's parents first pitched him to me they sounded the same. "Skylar, don't worry, our Ellis is only a little aloof, nothing else." But that single nothing almost cost me my life. As for the York heir, pushing 30 and still unmarried, who's to say he isn't another pit of fire? Still, fresh out of the swamp, I can't afford to overthink. The instant I exited the gate I saw Mom and Dad waiting. Dad moved ahead to pull my suitcase. Mom threaded her arm through mine and murmured, "Skylar, Logan moved his grandfather's chosen auspicious time back a full hour just to suit your flight, something Ellis could never manage in a million years. Trust us, Logan's a good kid." I merely smiled at her without replying. The reception hall was packed. I spotted Logan the moment I stepped in. He looked nothing like the boy I remembered. His tailored suit stretched his frame even taller, the sleeves casually rolled to mid-forearm lending ease to the formal scene. His face bright with laughter as he worked the crowd of elders like a fish in water. Truly, he and Ellis are polar opposites. "Logan, look who's here." Logan's grandpa noticed me first and waved him over. Mid-handshake, Logan spun around, curved a grin and laughed aloud. "The wife has arrived, and she didn't even make a sound?" Shoving through the guests he strode toward me. When Mom and Dad heard him call me that they giggled behind me. As Logan reached me I instinctively stepped back, forcing a smile as I answered, "The ceremony hasn't started, don't call me that." The words were barely out before I regretted them. They hurled me back to every scene with Ellis across those 8 years. At first I too had wanted to be like sweet couples, to tease him in public with a playful husband, but the very first time he'd snapped, "Skylar, I didn't expect you to be so cheap. We don't even have a license, why are you calling me that?" The chill I felt that day still lingers. I don't want to become another Ellis, so when I looked at Logan again there was apology in my eyes. Yet Logan only burst out laughing at my awkwardness, ruffling his grandpa's hair as he joked, "Grandpa, no wonder you picked her, she's hilarious." His stunt shocked me. Old Mr. York, a legend who terrifies boardrooms, is feared even by Logan's own father in public. Yet Logan treats him like this, and the old man just beams. Whatever the case, Logan's easy nature lets me breathe. With Ellis, every minute felt like walking on eggshells. Today tells me that may be over. A match of mutual consent, blessed by both families, everything flowed. Our wedding ended in laughter and cheers. After seeing off the parents and the York clan, only Logan and I remained in the vast reception hall. Exhausted from the day, Logan looked drained. He slipped off his jacket and draped it over his forearm. When he looked at me again, the laughter was gone from his eyes. Skylar, thanks for promoting this backup to leading man. I know you don't love me, but rest assured, I'll never treat you like Ellis did. His words snapped my newly loosened nerves tight again. I'd known all along that the man who could seize the York Empire in his 20s couldn't be all sunshine and jokes. For 8 years I'd tiptoed around Ellis, only to reap fresh humiliations and neglect. So this time I refused to run. I stand, meeting Logan's unreadable gaze. Logan, I don't follow. We're a strategic alliance. If you weren't willing, you could have refused. I, Skylar, am not someone who has to marry you. Yet Logan's tone sounded like he was handing out charity. The uncertainty about tomorrow made me restless. Skylar, that's not what I meant. I'm saying, whether or not you love me, I've already loved you for a very, very long time. This time I was the one who froze. I had imagined 10,000 ways he might explain himself, but never this one. I gave a bitter smile, still unsure how to answer, when the phone that had been silent all day suddenly shrilled. I glanced at the screen. Ellis's mom. I realized I'd forgotten to block her. Logan dipped his head just enough to see the number, then stepped back wordlessly and tipped his chin toward the phone. You take it. I'll wait. After all, this was a man who had entangled me for 8 years, and his mother had once treated me kindly. I hesitated, then picked up. Her voice came out anxious. Skylar, what on earth happened? Today was supposed to be your wedding to Ellis. He showed up halfway through, but you never appeared at all. You two said no guests, but his father and I have waited the entire day. Don't you think we deserve an explanation? By the end her tone had turned accusing. I exhaled slowly. Aunt Victoria, Ellis, and I have broken up. I messaged him before I left. He can give you the details. Broken up? Yes. Does your father know? A matter this big. Aunt Victoria, I'm already another man's wife. Ellis is no longer part of my life, so neither are you. I'm busy, goodbye. I hung up before she could finish. From her tone, Ellis had left the ceremony halfway through, yet she questioned me instead of her son. Interesting family. The instant the call ended, an unknown number rang through. Worried it was some loose end from wedding vendors, I answered without thinking. Before I could speak, Ellis's familiar snarl cracked through. Skylar. How dare you hang up on my mother? She's an elder. Don't you have any upbringing at all? So he had been listening while she called. Logan kept fiddling with his phone, but his full attention was clearly on me. This was a strategic alliance, and I didn't want him labeling me a shrew on day one, so I swallowed my anger. Ellis, there's nothing left for your mother and me to discuss. The relationship was between you and me. I already told you it was over. While I was canceling every wedding detail, each vendor messaged you as well. Your own indifference created today's embarrassment, don't blame me. And I do have upbringing, it's you who lacks class. In 8 years I had never spoken to Ellis like this. He went silent on the other end for several beats before he finally blustered. Fine, we'll park that for now. What did you mean telling my mother you're now someone else's wife? The literal meaning. Nice move, Skylar. You run out on our wedding and land another man in one day? You've been cheating, haven't you? Who is he? Ellis was practically shouting. Even with the volume at minimum, Logan heard every word. He lifted an eyebrow and grinned. That smile dissolved every shred of composure I'd just rebuilt. Ellis kept raving. Skylar, answer me. Who the hell is that man? It's none of your. It's me, Logan. Before I could finish, Logan plucked the phone from my hand. His voice turned glacial, his expression deadly serious. Ellis clearly hadn't expected that name. After a stunned pause he said nothing and simply cut the call. Logan arched an eyebrow and returned the phone. Skylar, your taste in men is awful. He clucks louder than the old hen in my grandfather's yard. The absurd image punctured my tangle of feelings. I burst out laughing. Now that you mention it, the resemblance is uncanny. We both knew why the cocky Ellis had folded the second Logan spoke. The social gulf between the Geyer and York dynasties is Grand Canyon-wide. The Geyers clawed their way up only in Ellis's father's generation, while York businesses have thrived for a century. Last year I'd overheard Ellis grumble, "That York heir really puts on airs. My father, his elder, has been trying to schedule one lousy meeting for 6 months and still can't get on his calendar." The arrogance. No wonder he'd fled the call, he'd outed his own inferiority complex. "Skylar, you still haven't answered what I said earlier." Logan's voice pulled me out of my thoughts. I did answer. I said the hen comparison is spot on. I started walking. He caught my wrist from behind. "You know that's not the line I meant." My heart sank like lead, pressing the air from my lungs. I didn't know how to reply. Ellis had never spoken to me this way, so I'd never learned the script for responding to a blunt declaration of love. After a long moment I half turned. "I understand, Logan. I don't love you now, but I'll work hard to let myself love you later." I swear every word was true. My capacity for love had burned out on Ellis. I couldn't magically reboot like some perpetual motion machine. But the latter half was equally sincere. The man behind me would share my life. I knew too well how bitter loveless days could be. Avery, I didn't want him to hurt, and I didn't want to hurt either. So I would find a way. Logan stayed silent for a long beat, then exhaled a low, heavy sigh. "That's okay, Skylar. I'll wait." "Still, thank you." His answer loosened the knot in my chest. I knew he had heard me. Married life proved far easier than I'd feared. I had dreaded endless one-on-one time with Logan, exactly the scenario that made me twitch. But I needn't have worried. Taylor, Logan's schedule was so packed I could go whole days without seeing him. Paparazzi probably caught more glimpses. A steady stream of texts arrived, true, but texts weren't face-to-face, and that suited me just fine. Dad also started nudging me to take over the family business. I'm the Winton family's only daughter. After finally heeding Mom and Dad and moving back to Seaport, Dad's smile hasn't left his face once. Wonderful. Now I can finally relax about you, and about handing the company to you. Dad's old, it's time to retire. So, little by little, I got busy too. One drizzly afternoon I'd just stepped out of Dad's office, when Logan rang. He was trying to sound upbeat, but exhaustion leaked through. "Wife, we've gone 60+ hours without seeing each other. I miss you. Come keep me company somewhere, okay?" "Okay, drop me the pin and I'll come." At first I wasn't used to Logan's sticky sweet talk, but after living side by side these past weeks I'd learned to volley it right back. Only then did I realize that, between back-to-back meetings, hearing him say those things really does sand down the irritation and fatigue. No way I'm letting my wife tire herself. I'm already downstairs. I walked to the end of the corridor and looked down. Sure enough, Logan's car was waiting. He was leaning against it, grinning as he slipped a cigarette to the security guard. This is one thing about Logan I outright admire. The man never acts as if he's even half a notch above anyone else. Within days, the stone-faced head of Winton Tower Security, still clueless about who Logan actually was, had adopted him as a kid brother, letting him glide in and out of the building like it was his own living room. I actually called Dad and made security hold a meeting about it. The lapse was ridiculous, but when Dad heard, he laughed until he couldn't straighten his back, praising nonstop. "That boy's character is solid." Old Mr. York raised him right. "Skylar?" Logan's voice floated up when I stayed silent too long. "Coming, smoke less. That kid downstairs is only 20, don't corrupt him." The moment the words left my lips I startled myself. First time I'd ever policed Logan's habits, and it slid out so naturally. The instant I said it I regretted it. Had it been Ellis, he'd have blown up. "Yes, ma'am, my lady wife." My unease didn't last. Logan's thrilled answer settled me right back. Honestly, being with Logan is just effortless. Downstairs I caught sight of the half-cigarette Logan had ground beneath his shoe. I'd only tossed out a casual remark, yet he'd taken it to heart. The young guard hurried over, picked up the butt, and clapped Logan's shoulder in goodbye. Logan tossed him the half-full pack. "My wife says no smoking. Here, take it, and go easy, you're only 20, still a kid." He draped an arm around me and steered me into the car. Studying his profile, curiosity bubbled up. I finally caved and asked, "What were you and that guy gabbing about down there?" You looked like old pals. His mom came to the city for treatment and couldn't get an appointment. I pulled some strings. He tells you his mom's sick? Yep. Also told me a girl on the cleaning crews had a crush on him for half a year. Suddenly, just like Dad the other day, I burst out laughing. I thought Ellis and I would never cross paths again. He's a man who sizes up which way the wind blows. Surely he'd had someone confirm my marriage to Logan long ago. The Yorks aren't a family he can afford to rile, and I was never the one etched in his heart. He must have moved on. Yet midway through dinner with Logan, Ellis barged in half drunk. The place is members only, and Logan had booked it out tonight. I never imagined Ellis could appear. Skylar, I want an explanation. I don't think I've ever faced a scene this mortifying. I tried to stay calm, but my chopsticks hovered between two dishes forever. Before I set them down, I forced myself steady and looked up. Nothing to explain. I saw what's behind the hidden panel in your study. You betrayed us first. Betrayed? On what grounds? Did you catch me in bed, or? I hadn't expected Ellis to be this shameless. While I hesitated over how to answer so he'd just leave, Logan, who'd been silent, stood and smashed his fist into Ellis's face. Scarlet blood sheeted down Ellis's nose. Emery, don't push your luck. Skylar's my wife now. You barge in demanding an explanation from Logan's woman. Go ask around Seaport who talks to me like that. I let you in tonight as a courtesy to her. Keep running your mouth and it won't be you I handle, it'll be your old man. I'd never seen Logan this cold. His voice stayed low, but frost-lined every word. Ellis slumped on the floor, resentment swimming in his eyes. Yet he kept weighing whether to stay. Finally he staggered upright, gulped down his pride, and tried again. Skylar, only after you left did I realize I really love you. Please, just one more chance? For some reason I felt laughter bubble up. Ellis, you're nauseating. I grabbed Logan's hand and marched out. I couldn't share the same air another second. I truly felt sick. Outside, Logan speed-dialed someone. Let's show the Geyer Company some special attention. I heard about Ellis again 2 weeks later. The Geyer empire was being squeezed by every major player, the business nosedived, and bankruptcy filings were days away. That so-called romantic, Geyer love nest estate had been seized to cover debts. Mediocre at best, Ellis could only watch the dynasty collapse overnight. Depression gnawed at him, his mind frayed. Sophie slipped out of Eastbrook long ago without a trace. In the end they still lost each other. The news reached me while Logan and I were at the hospital. Our lives were about to welcome a brand new heartbeat. For me, wasn't that a rebirth as well? Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.